All right, so Alabama pulls off yet another win. They're now 8-1 after beating the Tigers in Tuscaloosa, 20-9. That was something. It was. I will say it was kind of a stressful game, especially the second half. I felt like the offense really dried up. It was kind of a tale of two halves. Ty Simpson was really feeling himself at the end of the first half. I think he could virtually put the ball where he wanted to. Second half, I think he got a little bit keyed up. There was some misplacement. The accuracy wasn't there like it was. Some of his passes were off. He started to get frustrated with himself. He was being expressive on the sidelines, which I love. That's the sign of a true leader. There's many signs of Ty that suggest that he's a true leader and built for this position. That's one of them. You got to express that frustration. But it was definitely a thing in the second half. It mounted, and you look at Alabama's second half. Hey, there's Rover. You look at Alabama's second halves these past couple weeks offensively. Tennessee was solid. But South Carolina, bone dry. Missouri, bone dry. So offensive adjustments in the second half and just continuing to keep your foot on the gas has got to be a point of emphasis for Alabama in these weeks to come. It's always great to get an SEC win, and especially I'm not going to sit here and complain for hours on end about winning by multiple possessions against LSU. I know the storylines there. Frank Wilson, interim head coach, Brian Kelly fired. I get all of that, but I was frustrated by the production on Alabama, especially in the second half offensively today. It was frustrating to watch. It was really frustrating to watch. The run game has really got to start to find a groove here. I'm going to be blunt. I'm going to be honest here. It's legitimately starting to concern me, and could be a point of contention for Alabama. It could be a factor that holds the Tide back in the playoff when you start to face your teams like your Ohio States, right? Your Indianas, you see Georgia again, see A&M. That's something that can really hurt you because that's a whole element of Alabama's offense that just isn't there. And I'm trying to figure it out. Is it offensive line? Is it the running backs themselves? I don't think there's a back on Alabama that has a great burst. And so that's starting to concern me a little bit, especially with Oklahoma coming to town next weekend. We know how brutal, we know how fierce that defense is. It's just a point of concern. I wanted to get that out of the way, but I want to address the positives here. Alabama's defense is incredibly opportunistic. They get stops when it matters. They generate turnovers when it matters. I mean, you saw it against South Carolina. You saw it again tonight. It was a game-winning fumble that sealed this thing for Alabama again tonight, and it was Jan Zapier, who is a rising star with Alabama, and I love to see it. I worked with Zay back in 2023 when I was in player development as an intern for the team. Great guy, great kid. I love seeing him flourish right now, and he's been one of the biggest rising stars on this Alabama defense. He's been incredible. Secondary looked great again tonight. I love the emergence of Red Morgan as well. Bryce Hubbard continues to do his thing. LT Overton on the line. I love how he's been producing this year. So very, very cohesive defense. And as long as it continues to perform at that level, I think Alabama's got a high ceiling. But I want to see Alabama really reach its nirvana. I want to see Alabama reach its optimal production these next couple weeks. You've got technically three opportunities, right? Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, Tony Romo's alma mater, by the way, and then Auburn. You've got two SEC opponents left to really see this run game come into shape, because I said this in my halftime reaction, and I'm going to say it again. If this run game can step it up just a little bit, pairing that with Alabama's receiving core, which is one of the best in college football, and one of, if not the best quarterback in college football, this offense could be unstoppable. But right now, the run game holds it back severely. I mean, only 56 yards all game on the ground. Your best rusher, Daniel Hill, 3 yards a rush. Jam Miller, 8 carries, 1.6 yards a rush. I mean, you're barely getting off the line. That's pathetic. But Ty Simpson, 21 for 35, 277 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Jeremy Bernard, the top producer again, 79 yards receiving. I felt like at times Alabama was like trying very hard to give this game away because LSU is not in a good spot right now. This game could have been a lot worse than it was. I feel like Alabama tried to get them back in this game a lot, but LSU is just so. I mean, I'm going to say it. They're so sorry right now that they couldn't even break double digits in this thing. But Alabama's third down efficiency too. That's something I want to point out. 4 for 13. That was ugly. I'm not going to lie. That was ugly. LSU had 10 penalties. Alabama only had 2. That was a huge advantage. LSU had more time possession with 31 minutes. Well, let's talk LSU for a second. We're talking enough Alabama. Let's talk LSU for a second. They look galvanized for the first 2 or 3 drives, and then that vibe just because you saw opportunity after opportunity after opportunity that LSU just didn't capitalize on. They end up benching Nuss and bringing in Michael Van Buren. Don't know if I love that move. I don't love what it says to Garrett Nussmeier. But I'm going to say this. I feel really bad for Garrett Nussmeier because none of this is his fault. Is there things he can do to improve as a quarterback? Absolutely. Anybody can. But he does not deserve what's happening to him right now. He's in a bad spot. He's a really good quarterback who's in an unfortunate position right now. He's in a team, a program that's free-falling right now. A lot of internal turmoil going on, and he's right there in the middle of it. They don't have a line that can protect. They don't have a run game that can support him. And he's pretty much being left for dead. And then getting benched for Michael Van Buren. And I saw him crying on the sidelines at the end of this game. And I just want to say, like, Nuss, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And I hate seeing a player or a leader take it on the chin like that. It's not your fault, man. Really, it's not. And at this point, I hope he transfers. I think it's best for him at this point. I was thinking of a couple potential options for him. I think if you're Auburn and you want to make a statement under a new head coaching regime, you go and get Nuss. I mean, the writing is on the wall. Go and get him. You want to take a big swing? Go get a guy who is touted to be number 1, number 2 overall going into this season. Because I think he still has that upside. He just has to be in the right spot. But per usual, LSU couldn't get it going with the run game. The offensive line was atrocious tonight. Van Buren gave them a little bit of a spark, but just that, because as you always get with that change of quarterback. But a lot of his passes were off the mark tonight. I could tell the chemistry just wasn't there with him and the first team guys. They weren't reading each other the way that they should, and yeah, it was a really underwhelming night for LSU, and I could tell that Frank Wilson was disappointed on the sidelines. Was expecting a lot more out of his team tonight than that. Like I said, 10 penalties for LSU, so very undisciplined as well. Inopportunistic fumbles, turnovers, giving Alabama the ball with good field position. Third down efficiency was 5 for 14. Excuse me. Was not a great night for LSU at all. And they beat themselves. They really beat themselves. I couldn't picture a scenario where Alabama could lose this game, even in the second half where they couldn't get anything going on offense, just because of how bad LSU was playing. My good luck, Green Apple, Angry Orchard pulls it off again. I'm a very superstitious person. Every Alabama game now, I go to the old neighborhood grill in Fort Worth every morning, get my fix, either my French toast, my blueberry pancakes, my orange juice, my coffee, shoot the shit with the old guys in there. It's a great time. It's a great time, and Alabama hasn't lost since I've started doing it. And then I watch the game right here in my living room. I'm going to Tuscaloosa next weekend, so I'm a little bit nervous. I'm changing things up. Hopefully, we still get the same result. But I just want to see a complete game out of Alabama. I mean, this is a team with a lot, and I mean a lot, of upside. And I just want to see it all come together. The run game has been a big thing holding this team back, and then letting teams convert on 3rd and 8, 4th and 9. I mean, when you get a team behind the sticks, you've got to hold it down, because when you let them convert, they get a whole breath of fresh air again. And so the biggest, and I was saying this to a couple of my friends during the game tonight. If you're Alabama, sky's the limit. You have to make it easier on yourself moving forward here, because a lot of these games, it's easy to pull away in. Like this one, Alabama should have pulled away with ease instead of this being kind of a pucker test in the fourth quarter. And Alabama should have pulled away with ease. I mean, early in the second half, the door should have been slammed on LSU. But they kept it open slightly at the end of the fourth quarter. You've got to do the little things and do what needs to be done to secure victory. And it's all the little things. It's all about the details right now. Help yourself if you're Alabama. Make it easier on yourself, because there's times where I think that Bama makes these games an uphill climb for themselves. And granted, there's been some very challenging opponents this year. You know, an undefeated Missouri, an undefeated Vanderbilt, undefeated Georgia. I had to check myself on that. It's been some real tests this year. A Tennessee team that's very underrated. But internally, when you're doing introspection, if you're Alabama, make it easier on yourself and don't give these opposing teams room to gain momentum and get back in these games. Sometimes meet your match. Like Georgia played Alabama step for step. You know, Vandy played Alabama step for step. It's just it's going to be what it's going to be. But Tennessee, you know, you want to slam the door on them in the second half. It took a little while to do that. Just help yourself if you're Alabama. That's all I'm saying. Sometimes you can be your own worst enemy. You got to get out of your own way. If you're Alabama, get out of your own way. And I think that the potential on this team is unlimited, and they can absolutely compete with anyone. Hey, any win is a good win. Sometimes you walk away from a win, feel a little bit concerned. I do a little bit because Alabama's playing Oklahoma next week, who's extremely physical on defense. But nonetheless, I continue to have confidence in my Tide. And I think they're going to continue to run the table in the SEC and book a trip to Atlanta next week. But just got to correct on those things. And for the love of God, let's develop a run game here. But congratulations to the Tide on yet another win. And LSU just escape from the season. I look at LSU and I'm like, man, this. I couldn't imagine being a player on this team right now. Just given all of the internal turmoil, everything that's happened, I couldn't imagine being a player on this team, because it's got to be so tough to play every week. You still have 3 games left. The vibes there are just not high. You want to get out of this season, retain some of the guys on this team, make a good hire, and get back to being LSU next year. But let me know what y'all think of this video and this game in the comment section below. Thank y'all for watching. Have a great day.